Let's get ready for the Kansas real estate exam with 100 questions covering key state laws, principles, and practices you'll need to know. And keep an eye on the bottom corner. There's something there that could make a big difference in your prep. We'll tell you how to use it in just a minute. Now, let's get started.
Let's start with a review of Kansas real estate licensing requirements and procedures. Kansas licensing requirements and procedures. What is the minimum age requirement to apply for a real estate license in Kansas? Is it A, 16 years old, B, 18 years old, C, 21 years old, or D, 25 years old? The answer is B, 18 years old. In Kansas, you must be at least 18 years old to apply for a real estate license. This requirement ensures that applicants are legally considered adults and capable of entering contractual agreements. How many hours of pre-license education are required for a salesperson license in Kansas? Is it A, 30 hours, B, 45 hours, C, 60 hours, or D, 75 hours? The answer is C, 60 hours. Kansas requires 60 hours of pre-license education for salesperson applicants. This education covers essential real estate principles and practices to prepare candidates for the licensing exam.
Have you noticed the code in the bottom corner? Next time you're stumped, take that code to birdsy.ai for immediate help and a free study session with Birdsy, your personal AI study partner. Plus, you'll get access to hundreds of additional questions, helping you move closer to passing your exam with confidence. The next time you're feeling unsure or stuck, give it a try.
What is the fee for applying for a real estate salesperson license in Kansas? Is it A, $50, B, $125, C, $200, or D, $300? The answer is B, $125. As of the latest guidelines, the application fee for a Kansas real estate salesperson license is set to ensure administrative costs are covered. This fee is subject to change based on state regulations. How often must a Kansas real estate license be renewed? Is it A, annually, B, every 3 years, C, every 4 years, or D, every 2 years? The answer is D, every 2 years. Kansas real estate licenses must be renewed every 2 years. This biennial renewal process ensures that licensees stay updated with industry standards and legal requirements. Continuing education requirements. What is the minimum number of continuing education hours required for real estate license renewal in Kansas? Is it A, 6 hours, B, 10 hours, C, 12 hours, or D, 15 hours? The answer is C, 12 hours. Kansas requires real estate licensees to complete 12 hours of continuing education every 2 years, including 3 mandatory core hours to ensure professionals stay updated with industry standards and legal changes. Which of the following topics is typically included in the mandatory core hours for Kansas real estate continuing education? Is it A, marketing strategies, B, legal updates, C, office management, or D, technology trends? The answer is B, legal updates. Mandatory core hours often cover topics like legal updates, fair housing, and ethics to ensure licensees are aware of current laws and ethical standards in real estate practice. How often must a real estate licensee in Kansas complete their continuing education requirements? Is it A, every 2 years, B, annually, C, every 3 years, or D, every 5 years? The answer is A, every 2 years. Kansas requires real estate licensees to fulfill their continuing education requirements biennially, ensuring professionals remain knowledgeable about industry developments and legal obligations. If a licensee fails to complete the required continuing education by renewal time, What is a possible consequence? Is it A, a fine, B, increased fees, C, mandatory retesting, or D, license suspension? The answer is D, license suspension. Failure to complete continuing education can result in the suspension of a license until the requirements are met, ensuring compliance with state regulations and professional standards. Let's continue with Kansas real estate laws and regulations. Kansas-specific fair housing laws. What is the primary purpose of the Kansas Fair Housing Act? Is it A, to regulate housing prices across Kansas, B, to prevent discrimination in housing-related activities, C, to ensure all real estate agents are licensed, or D, to manage zoning laws at the state level? The answer is B, to prevent discrimination in housing-related activities. The Kansas Fair Housing Act aims to eliminate discrimination in housing-related activities based on protected characteristics, ensuring equal access and opportunities for all individuals. Which of the following is not a protected class under the Kansas Fair Housing laws? Is it A, national origin, B, disability, C, employment status, or D, familial status? The answer is C, employment status. The Kansas Fair Housing laws protect classes such as race, color, religion, sex, disability, familial status, and national origin. Employment status is not a protected class under these laws. Under Kansas Fair Housing laws, which scenario is considered discriminatory? Is it A, refusing to rent to someone because they have children, B, charging a higher rent for a larger apartment, C, requiring a security deposit for all tenants, or D, offering amenities to all tenants equally? The answer is A, refusing to rent to someone because they have children. Refusing to rent to someone because they have children is discriminatory under Kansas Fair Housing laws, which protect against familial status discrimination. If a landlord in Kansas is accused of violating fair housing laws, which entity investigates the complaint? Is it A, the local police department, B, the Kansas Department of Revenue, C, the Kansas Real Estate Commission, or D, the Kansas Human Rights Commission? The answer is D, the Kansas Human Rights Commission. The Kansas Human Rights Commission is responsible for investigating complaints related to housing discrimination under the Kansas Fair Housing laws. Which action is a violation of the Kansas Fair Housing laws? Is it A, providing information about local schools, B, steering buyers to neighborhoods based on race, C, offering discounts for long-term leases, or D, requiring a credit check for all applicants? The answer is B, steering buyers to neighborhoods based on race. Steering potential buyers to certain neighborhoods based on race is a violation of the Kansas Fair Housing laws, which prohibit discrimination based on race, among other protected classes. Kansas-specific contract requirements. What is the minimum duration for which a buyer's earnest money must be held in a Kansas real estate transaction? Is it A, 30 days, B, until closing or mutual agreement, C, 45 days, or D, until the appraisal is complete? The answer is B, until closing or mutual agreement. In Kansas, earnest money must be held in a trust account until all parties agree on its release or the transaction is completed. This ensures security and compliance with state regulations. Under Kansas law, which party is typically responsible for ensuring the property meets zoning requirements prior to closing? Is it A, the seller, B, the lender, C, the buyer, or D, the real estate agent? The answer is C, the buyer. The buyer is generally responsible for confirming that the property complies with zoning laws. This due diligence step is crucial to avoid future legal issues. What is required in Kansas for a contract to be considered valid and enforceable in real estate transactions? Is it A, mutual consent and consideration, B, a verbal agreement between parties, C, a notarized signature from the buyer, or D, approval by the Kansas Real Estate Commission? The answer is A, mutual consent and consideration. A valid Kansas real estate contract must include mutual consent, lawful object, consideration, competent parties, and be in writing. These elements ensure clarity and legality. In Kansas, who is responsible for disclosing known property defects to potential buyers? Is it A, the seller, B, the buyer, C, the home inspector, or D, the real estate agent? The answer is A, the seller. The seller must disclose known material defects to buyers. This requirement helps buyers make informed decisions and prevents future disputes. What is the purpose of including a contingency clause in a Kansas real estate contract? Is it A, to guarantee the sale price, B, to waive inspection requirements, C, to ensure immediate possession, or D, to allow contract termination under specific conditions? The answer is D, to allow contract termination under specific conditions. Contingency clauses protect parties by allowing contract termination if certain conditions are not met. They provide security and flexibility in transactions.
If you're finding this helpful, please take a minute to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more practice exams, useful tips, and complimentary study sessions with Birdsy.
Overview of Kansas real estate statutes. What is the primary purpose of the Kansas Real Estate Commission? Is it A, to set property tax rates, B, to regulate real estate practices, C, to draft real estate contracts, or D, to provide real estate loans? The answer is B, to regulate real estate practices. The Kansas Real Estate Commission is responsible for regulating real estate practices to ensure compliance with state laws and protect public interest. It oversees licensing, education, and enforcement actions. Which of the following is a requirement for obtaining a real estate salesperson license in Kansas? Is it A, complete a 30-hour pre-license course, B, own a real estate brokerage, C, hold a degree in real estate, or D, have 2 years of sales experience? The answer is A, complete a 30-hour pre-license course. Applicants must complete a 30-hour pre-license course approved by the Kansas Real Estate Commission, pass the licensing exam, and meet other eligibility criteria like age and background checks. What is the maximum fine the Kansas Real Estate Commission can impose for a single violation? Is it A, $500, B, $750, C, $1,000, or D, $1,500? The answer is C, $1,000. The Kansas Real Estate Commission can impose fines up to $1,000 per violation. This is part of their enforcement powers to ensure compliance with real estate laws. Under Kansas real estate law, what is required for a broker to maintain an active license? Is it A, maintain a personal real estate portfolio, B, conduct a minimum number of transactions annually, C, hire at least one salesperson, or D, complete continuing education? The answer is D, complete continuing education. Brokers must complete continuing education requirements, maintain an office, and ensure their license is renewed on time to remain active and compliant with regulations. Let's test your knowledge of Kansas property ownership and land use. Types of property ownership, e.g., fee simple, leasehold, joint tenancy. What type of property ownership allows an individual to have the greatest control over their property in Kansas? Is it A, fee simple, B, leasehold, C, joint tenancy, or D, tenancy in common? The answer is A, fee simple. Fee simple ownership provides the holder with the most comprehensive rights, including the ability to sell, lease, or pass the property to heirs. It is the most common form of property ownership in Kansas. Which type of property ownership in Kansas involves a right of survivorship? Is it A, fee simple, B, leasehold, C, joint tenancy, or D, tenancy in common? The answer is C, joint tenancy. Joint tenancy includes the right of survivorship, meaning that upon the death of one owner, the property automatically passes to the surviving owner, bypassing probate. In Kansas property law, what distinguishes tenancy in common from joint tenancy? Is it A, ownership cannot be transferred, B, no right of survivorship, C, equal ownership shares, or D, cannot be partitioned? The answer is B, no right of survivorship. Tenancy in common allows each owner to have an undivided interest that can be sold or bequeathed independently, unlike joint tenancy, which includes rights of survivorship. What is a primary characteristic of a leasehold estate in Kansas? Is it A, permanent ownership, B, right of survivorship, C, transferable by will, or D, temporary possession? The answer is D, temporary possession. A leasehold estate grants the tenant temporary possession and use of a property for a specified period, as per the lease agreement, without ownership rights. Public versus private land use controls. Which of the following is an example of a public land use control in Kansas? Is it A, deed restrictions, B, zoning ordinances, C, easements, or D, covenants? The answer is B, zoning ordinances. Zoning ordinances are public land use controls implemented by local governments to regulate land use and development. They help ensure orderly growth and protect public health and safety. What is the primary purpose of Kansas's comprehensive land use planning? Is it A, to guide orderly development, B, to enforce building codes, C, to regulate property taxes, or D, to resolve zoning disputes? The answer is A, to guide orderly development. Comprehensive land use planning aims to guide orderly development, balancing growth with environmental preservation and community needs, ensuring sustainable land use and infrastructure planning. How do private land use controls differ from public land use controls in Kansas? Is it A, they are enforced by local governments, B, they apply to all properties in a jurisdiction, C, they are imposed by property owners, or D, they are subject to public hearings? The answer is C, they are imposed by property owners. Private land use controls are established by property owners or developers, such as covenants, while public controls are government-imposed regulations like zoning laws. What role does the Kansas Department of Agriculture play in land use control? Is it A, it regulates residential zoning, B, it enforces building codes, C, it manages urban development, or D, it oversees agricultural land use? The answer is D, it oversees agricultural land use. The Kansas Department of Agriculture oversees agricultural land use, ensuring sustainable practices and compliance with state regulations impacting land use decisions and planning. Land use and zoning laws. What is the primary purpose of zoning laws in Kansas? Is it A, to regulate land use and ensure orderly development, B, to increase property taxes, C, to promote agricultural activities, or D, to enhance tourism? The answer is A, to regulate land use and ensure orderly development. Zoning laws in Kansas are designed to regulate land use to ensure orderly development, protect property values, and enhance community welfare by separating incompatible land uses. Which of the following is a common zoning designation in Kansas? Is it A, recreational, B, residential, C, educational, or D, historical? The answer is B, residential. Residential, commercial, and industrial are typical zoning designations in Kansas, each specifying the types of activities permitted in the area to maintain land use compatibility. How can a property owner in Kansas request a change in zoning classification? Is it A, by filing a lawsuit, B, by petitioning neighbors, C, by contacting the state governor, or D, by submitting a rezoning application? The answer is D, by submitting a rezoning application. Property owners can request a zoning change by submitting a rezoning application to the local zoning authority, which will review the proposal and hold public hearings before making a decision. What is a variance in the context of Kansas zoning laws? Is it A, a complete exemption from zoning laws, B, permission to deviate from zoning requirements, C, a temporary suspension of zoning laws, or D, a change in property ownership? The answer is B, permission to deviate from zoning requirements. A variance allows property owners to deviate from specific zoning requirements due to unique property circumstances, ensuring fairness and flexibility in land use regulation. Condominiums and HOAs. In Kansas, which entity is responsible for maintaining the common areas in a condominium complex? Is it A, individual unit owners, B, homeowners association, C, local government, or D, property management company? The answer is B, homeowners association. The homeowners association is responsible for maintaining common areas in a condominium. This includes landscaping, hallways, and amenities shared by all residents. What is a key requirement for forming a condominium association in Kansas? Is it A, filing a declaration, B, obtaining a zoning variance, C, approval from all unit owners, or D, securing a management contract? The answer is A, filing a declaration. In Kansas, a declaration must be filed to form a condominium association. This document outlines the rules, regulations, and responsibilities of the association. Which document typically outlines the rules and regulations for residents in a Kansas condominium? Is it A, deed of trust, B, purchase agreement, C, or D, title report? The answer is C. The bylaws outline the rules and regulations for residents in a condominium, detailing governance, responsibilities, and resident conduct within the community. In Kansas, what is the primary purpose of a reserve fund in a condominium association? Is it A, to pay for daily operational costs, B, to invest in new property developments, C, to cover legal expenses, or D, to fund major repairs and replacements? The answer is D, to fund major repairs and replacements. A reserve fund is crucial for covering unexpected repairs or major replacements in a condominium, ensuring financial stability and preventing sudden large assessments on unit owners. Environmental issues and agricultural land use. Which of the following is a key requirement for agricultural land use in Kansas to qualify for a property tax reduction? Is it A, the land must be over 100 acres, B, the land must be owned by a Kansas resident, C, the land must be used for agricultural purposes, or D, the land must be free from any environmental restrictions? The answer is C, the land must be used for agricultural purposes. To qualify for a property tax reduction, Kansas agricultural land must be actively used for agricultural purposes, as defined by state law, ensuring that the land contributes to the agricultural economy. What is a primary environmental concern affecting agricultural land use in Kansas? Is it A, water scarcity, B, urban sprawl, C, soil salinity, or D, air pollution? The answer is A, water scarcity. Water scarcity is a significant concern in Kansas due to the reliance on aquifers for irrigation, which impacts agricultural productivity and sustainability in the region. Which legal doctrine is used in Kansas to determine water rights for agricultural use? Is it A, riparian rights, B, prior appropriation, C, literal rights, or D, common law doctrine? The answer is B, prior appropriation. The doctrine of prior appropriation is used in Kansas, where water rights are allocated based on a first-come, first-served basis, crucial for agricultural planning and development. How does the Conservation Reserve Program benefit Kansas agricultural landowners? Is it A, by increasing crop yield, B, by reducing property taxes, C, by enhancing soil fertility, or D, by providing financial incentives for conservation? The answer is D, by providing financial incentives for conservation. The CRP benefits landowners by providing financial incentives to remove environmentally sensitive land from agricultural production, promoting conservation and improving environmental quality in Kansas.
Stuck on a question? Just think of the Birdsy link in the description as your friendly neighborhood superhero, swooping in to save the day with answers. Feel free to explore it now and return to continue. Simply hit pause, and we'll be waiting when you get back.
Now let's review Kansas agency law and ethics. Agency relationship laws. Under Kansas agency law, what is the primary duty of a real estate agent when representing a buyer? Is it A, act in the best interest of the buyer, B, ensure the seller gets the best price, C, maintain neutrality between buyer and seller, or D, focus on closing the transaction quickly? The answer is A, act in the best interest of the buyer. In Kansas, a real estate agent's primary duty when representing a buyer is to act in the best interest of the buyer. This includes loyalty, confidentiality, and full disclosure of material facts. Which of the following is a requirement for establishing an agency relationship in Kansas real estate? Is it A, a verbal agreement between parties, B, mutual understanding without documentation, C, a written agreement outlining duties, or D, a handshake agreement? The answer is C, a written agreement outlining duties. In Kansas, an agency relationship is established through a written agreement, which clearly outlines the duties and responsibilities of the agent and the client. What is the consequence of dual agency without proper disclosure in Kansas? Is it A, the transaction is automatically voided, B, legal penalties for the agent, C, the agent loses commission, or D, the client must find a new agent? The answer is B, legal penalties for the agent. Dual agency without proper disclosure can lead to legal penalties, including fines and suspension of license, as it breaches fiduciary duties to clients. In Kansas, what is required for an agent to legally represent both buyer and seller in a transaction? Is it A, a verbal agreement with both parties, B, approval from the Real Estate Commission, C, a separate contract with each party, or D, informed written consent from both parties? The answer is D, informed written consent from both parties. To legally represent both parties, an agent must obtain informed written consent from both the buyer and seller, ensuring both parties are fully aware of the dual representation. What is a fiduciary duty of a real estate agent under Kansas agency law? Is it A, loyalty to the client, B, maximizing commission, C, neutrality between parties, or D, ensuring the property sells quickly? The answer is A, loyalty to the client. Fiduciary duties include loyalty, confidentiality, disclosure, obedience, reasonable care, and accounting. These duties ensure the agent acts in the client's best interest at all times. Fiduciary duties and client representation. Which of the following is a fiduciary duty of a real estate agent in Kansas? Is it A, indifference, B, loyalty, C, profit maximization, or D, self-interest? The answer is B. Loyalty is a core fiduciary duty requiring agents to act in the best interest of their clients. This duty ensures that agents prioritize their clients' needs over their own interests. In Kansas, what is the primary purpose of the duty of confidentiality in client representation? Is it A, to protect client information, B, to allow agents to share information freely, C, to facilitate market transparency, or D, to enhance negotiation tactics? The answer is A, to protect client information. Confidentiality ensures that sensitive client information is protected, fostering trust and allowing clients to disclose information necessary for effective representation. What is the duty of disclosure in Kansas real estate transactions? Is it A, withholding sensitive information, B, prioritizing personal gain, C, informing clients of material facts, or D, limiting communication with clients? The answer is C, informing clients of material facts. Disclosure requires agents to inform clients of all material facts related to the transaction, ensuring clients can make informed decisions. How does the duty of obedience affect a Kansas real estate agent's actions? Is it A, allows agents to make independent decisions, B, permits disregarding client instructions, C, encourages creative solutions, or D, mandates following lawful client instructions? The answer is D, mandates following lawful client instruction. The duty of obedience requires agents to follow lawful client instructions, ensuring that the client's lawful wishes are respected and executed in the transaction. Kansas Ethics Guidelines and Enforcement. What is the primary purpose of the Kansas Real Estate Commission's enforcement of ethics guidelines? Is it A, to increase real estate sales, B, to maintain public trust and professional standards, C, to promote real estate education, or D, to regulate housing prices? The answer is B, to maintain public trust and professional standards. The Kansas Real Estate Commission enforces ethics guidelines to ensure public trust and maintain professional standards within the real estate industry, protecting both consumers and practitioners from unethical behavior. Which action would most likely result in a violation of Kansas ethics guidelines for real estate agents? Is it A, failing to disclose a conflict of interest, B, attending a real estate seminar, C, providing clients with market analysis, or D, advertising open houses? The answer is A, failing to disclose a conflict of interest. Failing to disclose a conflict of interest violates Kansas ethics guidelines, as transparency is crucial in maintaining trust and integrity in real estate transactions. How does the Kansas Real Estate Commission ensure compliance with ethical standards among real estate professionals? Is it A, by offering incentives for good behavior, B, by increasing real estate taxes, C, by conducting audits and investigations, or D, by hosting annual ethics workshops? The answer is C, by conducting audits and investigations. The Commission ensures compliance by conducting regular audits and investigations, which help identify and address unethical practices, maintaining industry integrity. What is a potential consequence for a Kansas real estate agent found guilty of unethical conduct? Is it A, increased commissions, B, mandatory community service, C, temporary suspension from meetings, or D, revocation of real estate license? The answer is D, revocation of real estate license. Revocation of a real estate license is a severe penalty that underscores the importance of adhering to ethical guidelines, protecting the profession's integrity. Why is it important for Kansas real estate agents to adhere to ethical guidelines during transactions? Is it A, to increase personal profits, B, to protect consumer interests and foster trust, C, to reduce paperwork, or D, to speed up transaction processes? The answer is B, to protect consumer interests and foster trust. Adhering to ethical guidelines ensures transparent and fair transactions, which protect consumer interests and foster trust in the real estate market.
Don't forget to comment below with your tips, challenges, and thoughts on exam preparation. Your experiences can make a big difference for others.
Let's continue with Kansas property valuation. Basic principles of property valuation. What is the primary purpose of property valuation in Kansas? Is it A, to determine historical significance, B, to assess fair market value, C, to establish zoning laws, or D, to evaluate environmental impact? The answer is B, to assess fair market value. Property valuation in Kansas is primarily conducted to assess the fair market value of a property, which is crucial for taxation, sales, and financing purposes. It ensures equitable tax distribution based on property worth. Which approach is most commonly used for valuing residential properties in Kansas? Is it A, income approach, B, cost approach, C, sales comparison approach, or D, residual land value approach? The answer is C, sales comparison approach. The sales comparison approach is the most commonly used method for valuing residential properties, as it relies on comparing similar properties that have recently sold in the area. What is the principle of substitution in property valuation? Is it A, a property's value is influenced by the cost of an equally desirable substitute, B, a property's value is determined by the highest and best use, C, a property's value increases with improvements, or D, a property's value is based on its historical cost? The answer is A, a property's value is influenced by the cost of an equally desirable substitute. The principle of substitution states that a property's value is influenced by the cost of acquiring an equally desirable substitute property. This principle helps appraisers determine fair market values. How does the principle of contribution affect property value? Is it A, it determines the property's historical significance, B, it assesses the property's environmental impact, C, it values the property based on replacement cost, or D, it adds value based on improvements made? The answer is D, it adds value based on improvements made. The principle of contribution states that the value of a property improvement is determined by how much it adds to the overall property value, not its cost. This guides decisions on renovations. Which factor is least likely to affect the market value of a property in Kansas? Is it A, location and neighborhood, B, market conditions, C, owner's personal preferences, or D, property size and condition? The answer is C, owner's personal preferences. While property values are influenced by various factors, the personal preferences of the current owner are least likely to affect market value, as valuation is based on objective criteria.
Notice the code in the corner? When you're stumped by a question, enter it at birdsy.ai for immediate help. Enjoy complimentary study sessions and access to hundreds of additional questions to help you pass your exam with confidence.
Sales comparison, cost, and income approaches. Which of the following is a key component in the sales comparison approach used in Kansas property valuation? Is it A, depreciation, B, comparable sales, C, net operating income, or D, replacement cost? The answer is B, comparable sales. The sales comparison approach relies heavily on the principle of substitution, comparing similar properties that have recently sold to determine the value of the subject property. In the cost approach to property valuation, which factor is used to estimate the value of the land? Is it A, recent land sales, B, gross rent multiplier, C, depreciation schedule, or D, capitalization rate? The answer is A, recent land sales. The cost approach involves estimating the land value separately, often using external data such as recent land sales, and then adding the cost of improvements. What is the primary purpose of using the income approach in property valuation? Is it A, to determine replacement cost, B, to compare similar property sales, C, to assess income-generating potential, or D, to evaluate land value separately? The answer is C, to assess income-generating potential. The income approach is designed to value properties based on their ability to generate income, typically through rental or lease agreements, making it ideal for investment properties. Which method is typically used to adjust the sales price of comparable properties in the sales comparison approach? Is it A, depreciation adjustment, B, income capitalization, C, replacement cost adjustment, or D, market condition adjustment? The answer is D, market condition adjustment. Adjustments are made to account for differences between the subject property and comparables, ensuring a more accurate valuation by considering factors like location, size, and condition. In the income approach, what does the capitalization rate represent? Is it A, total property value, B, rate of return on investment, C, depreciation rate, or D, replacement cost? The answer is B, rate of return on investment. The capitalization rate is a crucial factor in the income approach, representing the rate of return expected on an investment property derived from the net operating income. Let's test your understanding of Kansas real estate financing. Mortgage loans and financing options. What is the primary purpose of a fixed-rate mortgage in Kansas? Is it A, to provide lower initial interest rates, B, to offer predictable monthly payments, C, to reduce the overall loan term, or D, to minimize closing costs? The answer is B, to offer predictable monthly payments. A fixed-rate mortgage provides stability with consistent monthly payments over the loan term, making it suitable for borrowers seeking predictable budgeting. This contrasts with adjustable-rate mortgages, which can fluctuate. Which of the following is a characteristic of an FHA loan in Kansas? Is it A, lower down payment requirements, B, no mortgage insurance required, C, only available for investment properties, or D, higher credit score requirements? The answer is A, lower down payment requirements. FHA loans are government-backed and allow for lower down payments, making them accessible for first-time homebuyers or those with limited savings. What distinguishes a VA loan from other mortgage options in Kansas? Is it A, requires a high credit score, B, available to all homebuyers, C, includes mandatory private mortgage insurance, or D, offers zero down payment options? The answer is D, offers zero down payment options. VA loans are a benefit for eligible veterans, offering no down payment options and no private mortgage insurance, making them unique compared to conventional loans. How does an adjustable-rate mortgage differ from a fixed-rate mortgage in Kansas? Is it A, it has a higher initial interest rate, B, it offers consistent payment amounts, C, it features a variable interest rate, or D, it requires a larger down payment? The answer is C, it features a variable interest rate. ARMs have interest rates that can change periodically, often starting lower than fixed-rate mortgages, but can increase over time based on market conditions. What is the main advantage of a USDA loan for Kansas residents? Is it A, available in urban areas, B, no down payment required, C, higher interest rates than conventional loans, or D, no income restrictions? The answer is B, no down payment required. USDA loans offer zero down payment options, making them attractive for rural homebuyers who meet specific income and property location requirements. Loan applications and approval processes. What is the maximum allowable time for a lender to provide a loan estimate to a borrower in Kansas? Is it A, 1 business day, B, 3 business days, C, 5 business days, or D, 7 business days? The answer is B, 3 business days. According to the TILA-RESPA Integrated Disclosure Rule, lenders must provide the loan estimate within 3 business days of receiving a loan application. This ensures borrowers have sufficient time to review the terms. Which document must be provided to a borrower at least 3 days before closing a loan in Kansas? Is it A, closing disclosure, B, loan estimate, C, good faith estimate, or D, HUD-1 settlement statement? The answer is A, closing disclosure. The closing disclosure is required by the TILA-RESPA Integrated Disclosure Rule to be provided at least 3 days before closing, allowing borrowers to review final terms and costs. In Kansas, what is the primary purpose of the loan estimate document? Is it A, to finalize the loan agreement, B, to detail the borrower's credit score, C, to outline estimated loan terms and costs, or D, to confirm the borrower's employment status? The answer is C, to outline estimated loan terms and costs. The loan estimate provides a clear summary of the key loan terms and estimated costs for the borrower, ensuring transparency and aiding in comparison shopping. Which factor is not typically considered by lenders during the loan approval process in Kansas? Is it A, credit history, B, income level, C, debt-to-income ratio, or D, marital status? The answer is D, marital status. Lenders evaluate credit history, income, and debt-to-income ratio to assess a borrower's ability to repay a loan. Marital status is not a consideration under fair lending laws. Kansas mortgage disclosure requirements. What is the primary purpose of the Kansas mortgage disclosure requirements? Is it A, to ensure borrowers understand their mortgage terms, B, to increase the profit margins of lenders, C, to simplify the loan application process, or D, to encourage more people to apply for mortgages? The answer is A, to ensure borrowers understand their mortgage terms. The Kansas mortgage disclosure requirements aim to ensure borrowers are fully informed about the terms of their mortgage, promoting transparency and preventing predatory lending practices. Which document is essential under Kansas law to inform borrowers about the costs and terms associated with their mortgage? Is it A, the closing disclosure, B, the loan estimate, C, the promissory note, or D, the mortgage insurance agreement? The answer is B, the loan estimate. The loan estimate is a critical document that provides borrowers with detailed information about the costs and terms of their mortgage, required by Kansas law to ensure transparency. How soon must a lender provide the loan estimate to a borrower under Kansas mortgage disclosure requirements? Is it A, 1 business day, B, 2 business days, C, 3 business days, or D, 5 business days? The answer is C, 3 business days. Lenders must provide the loan estimate within 3 business days of receiving a mortgage application, ensuring borrowers have timely information to make informed decisions. What must the closing disclosure include according to Kansas mortgage disclosure requirements? Is it A, only the interest rate, B, only the principal amount, C, only the lender's fees, or D, a detailed breakdown of all costs? The answer is D, a detailed breakdown of all costs. The closing disclosure must include a detailed breakdown of all costs associated with the mortgage, ensuring borrowers understand their financial obligations before finalizing the loan. Kansas-specific loan programs. What is a key feature of the Kansas Housing Assistance Program for first-time homebuyers? Is it A, no income restrictions, B, down payment assistance, C, reduced property taxes, or D, interest-free loans? The answer is B, down payment assistance. The Kansas Housing Assistance Program offers down payment assistance to first-time homebuyers, making it easier for them to afford a home. This program is designed to reduce the upfront cost burden. Which organization administers the Kansas Rural Development Loan Program? Is it A, Kansas Department of Commerce, B, Kansas Housing Resources Corporation, C, United States Department of Agriculture, or D, Federal Housing Administration? The answer is C, United States Department of Agriculture. The United States Department of Agriculture administers the Kansas Rural Development Loan Program, aiming to promote home ownership in rural areas through favorable loan terms. What is the primary benefit of the Kansas Mortgage Revenue Bond Program? Is it A, low-interest mortgage loans, B, tax credits for home improvements, C, grants for closing costs, or D, subsidized insurance premiums? The answer is A, low-interest mortgage loans. The Kansas Mortgage Revenue Bond Program provides low-interest mortgage loans to eligible homebuyers, making homeownership more affordable by reducing monthly payments. Who is eligible for the Kansas First-Time Homebuyer Program? Is it A, only veterans, B, only residents of rural areas, C, only high-income earners, or D, first-time buyers or those not owning a home in 3 years? The answer is D, first-time buyers or those not owning a home in 3 years. Eligibility for the Kansas First-Time Homebuyer Program typically includes first-time buyers or those who haven't owned a home in the last 3 years, ensuring assistance to new entrants in the housing market. Kansas Housing Resources Corporation. What is the primary role of the Kansas Housing Resources Corporation? Is it A, to administer housing and community programs for affordable housing, B, to oversee all real estate transactions in Kansas, C, to provide loans exclusively to real estate developers, or D, to set property tax rates for housing in Kansas? The answer is A, to administer housing and community programs for affordable housing. KHRC is a public corporation that administers housing and community programs to enhance affordable housing opportunities for Kansans. It plays a crucial role in managing state and federal housing resources. Which program is managed by KHRC to support low-income families in Kansas? Is it A, Home Loan Program, B, Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Program, C, Property Tax Relief Program, or D, Real Estate Development Fund? The answer is B, Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Program. KHRC administers the Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Program, which assists low-income families in affording decent, safe, and sanitary housing in the private market. How does KHRC contribute to the development of rural housing in Kansas? Is it A, by regulating property prices in rural areas, B, by offering tax incentives to urban developers, C, by providing loans exclusively to rural homeowners, or D, by funding programs to increase affordable housing in rural areas? The answer is D, by funding programs to increase affordable housing in rural areas. KHRC supports rural housing development through grants and funding programs aimed at increasing the availability of affordable housing options in rural areas. ensuring these communities have access to necessary housing resources. What type of assistance does KHRC provide to prevent homelessness in Kansas? Is it A, legal services for eviction cases, B, job placement programs, C, emergency housing assistance and support services, or D, mortgage refinancing options? The answer is C, emergency housing assistance and support services. KHRC administers emergency housing assistance and support services to prevent homelessness, focusing on stabilizing individuals and families and connecting them with necessary resources for long-term stability. Let's review Kansas disclosure requirements and forms. Kansas-specific disclosure requirements. What must a Kansas real estate agent disclose to a potential buyer regarding property defects? Is it A, all defects whether known or unknown, B, only defects that the seller is aware of, C, known material defects affecting property value, or D, defects found during a home inspection? The answer is C, known material defects affecting property value. In Kansas, agents must disclose known material defects. This ensures buyers are informed about significant issues that could affect the property's value or desirability. Which form is used in Kansas to disclose agency relationships to clients? Is it A, property condition report, B, brokerage relationship disclosure, C, lead-based paint disclosure, or D, seller's disclosure statement? The answer is B, brokerage relationship disclosure. The brokerage relationship disclosure form is used in Kansas to clarify agency relationships, ensuring that clients understand the agent's role and responsibilities. In Kansas, what is required if a seller's agent becomes aware of a defect after a property is under contract? Is it A, notify the buyer immediately, B, wait until the closing date to inform the buyer, C, inform the seller only, or D, no action is necessary if the contract is signed? The answer is A, notify the buyer immediately. Agents must promptly disclose any new material defects discovered after the contract is signed, ensuring that the buyer is fully informed before closing. What is the purpose of the Kansas seller's disclosure statement? Is it A, to list the property's sale price, B, to outline the terms of the sale, C, to disclose agency relationships, or D, to inform buyers of property conditions? The answer is D, to inform buyers of property conditions. The seller's disclosure statement provides detailed information about the property's condition, helping buyers make informed decisions by understanding potential issues before purchasing. Commonly used Kansas forms. What is the primary purpose of the Kansas seller's disclosure form? Is it A, to inform potential buyers about the condition of the property, B, to establish the legal ownership of the property, C, to negotiate the final sale price of the property, or D, to provide a tax assessment of the property? The answer is A, to inform potential buyers about the condition of the property. The Kansas seller's disclosure form is designed to inform potential buyers about the condition of the property, ensuring transparency and minimizing disputes post-sale. Which form is used in Kansas to disclose the presence of lead-based paint in homes built before 1978? Is it A, Kansas seller's disclosure form, B, lead-based paint disclosure form, C, environmental hazard disclosure form, or D, home inspection report? The answer is B, lead-based paint disclosure form. The lead-based paint disclosure form is required for homes built before 1978, ensuring buyers are aware of potential lead hazards and can make informed decisions. When must the Kansas property condition report be provided to the buyer? Is it A, after the purchase agreement is signed, B, during the closing process, C, before the purchase agreement is signed, Or D, after the inspection contingency is waived? The answer is C, before the purchase agreement is signed. The Kansas Property Condition Report should be provided before the purchase agreement is signed, allowing the buyer to make an informed decision about the property's condition. What information is typically included in the Kansas lead-based paint disclosure form? Is it A, the property's assessed value, B, the current mortgage balance, C, the zoning classification of the property, or D, known lead-based paint hazards and related records? The answer is D, known lead-based paint hazards and related records. The Kansas lead-based paint disclosure form includes details about known lead-based paint hazards, risks associated with lead exposure, and any available records or reports on lead-based paint. Specific procedures for transactions. Which document must a Kansas real estate agent provide to a buyer at the first substantive contact in a transaction? Is it A, property condition disclosure statement, B, brokerage relationships in real estate transactions, C, lead-based paint disclosure, or D, exclusive right to sell agreement? The answer is B, brokerage relationships in real estate transactions. At the first substantive contact, Kansas real estate agents are required to provide buyers with the Brokerage Relationships in Real Estate Transactions brochure, which explains the various types of brokerage relationships available. What is the primary purpose of the Kansas Seller's Disclosure Statement? Is it A, to inform buyers about the property's condition, B, to establish the listing price of the property, C, to outline the financing options available, or D, to negotiate the agent's commission? The answer is A, to inform buyers about the property's condition. The Kansas Seller's Disclosure Statement is designed to inform potential buyers about the condition of the property, including any known defects or issues, to ensure transparency in the transaction process. In Kansas, when must the lead-based paint disclosure be provided to a buyer? Is it A, after the home inspection, B, at the closing of the sale, C, before the buyer is obligated under a contract, or D, when the property is listed for sale? The answer is C, before the buyer is obligated under a contract. The lead-based paint disclosure must be given to buyers before they are obligated under a contract for properties built before 1978, ensuring they are informed of any potential lead hazards. What is the consequence for a Kansas real estate agent who fails to provide the required disclosure forms to a buyer? Is it A, the transaction is automatically voided, B, the agent must pay a penalty to the buyer, C, the seller must provide additional disclosures, or D, disciplinary action by the Kansas Real Estate Commission? The answer is D, disciplinary action by the Kansas Real Estate Commission. Failing to provide required disclosure forms can lead to disciplinary action by the Kansas Real Estate Commission, including fines or suspension of the agent's license, ensuring compliance with state regulations. What information is not typically included in the Kansas Brokerage Relationships Disclosure? Is it A, types of agency relationships available, B, specific property details, C, duties owed to clients, or D, explanation of dual agency? The answer is B, specific property details. The Kansas Brokerage Relationships Disclosure typically includes types of agency relationships and duties owed to clients, but does not include specific property details, which are covered in other documents.
Thanks for joining us today. If you found this video helpful, subscribe to our channel for more practice exams, tips, and tricks. And don't forget to visit Birdsy.ai for complimentary study sessions with Birdsy, your AI-powered study partner.